Hello, everyone. Welcome. Thanks so much for joining us tonight with Relationship Fun and Games and Fights Clean Sex Dirty TV. I'm Gabby, Gabrielle Sundra, and we're not in the same place tonight, but we are definitely on the same page. Raj, you want to say hello?
Yeah, hey everybody, it's Raj here. I'm up in San Francisco, missing my lovely wife, but happy to be here with all of you.
And we're delighted, but speaking of happy, we're delighted to have Jenna LaFlamme and her beloved Sascha Nielsen here. This is a love story that I've been just tickled all day today thinking about getting to share this with you. They've just been such a delight and an inspiration. Raj, would you go ahead and just take us off the screen share for a moment so we can see their lovely faces and say hello? We'll put the slide up in a moment and I'll give you their official bios, but I just wanted you to see these beauties and have them say hello for a moment as well.
Hello, everyone.
Hi, I'm Jenna.
My name is Sascha Nielsen. Glad to be part of this beautiful journey with you, being invited by you two, Gabrielle and Raj. Thank you very much for inviting us.
Great pleasure to be here.
Absolutely. So great to have you. And Raj, will you go ahead and put back to the screen now? I know I can't tap you and tell you to do it, but that's all right. I'll just be a little directive here today. Thanks for steering the ship, honey, with the slide deck. I know you're juggling being on not on one computer, not having two computers today. So yeah, go ahead, Raj, to the next slide. Look at this gorgeous photo of Jenna, and I love this photo, Jenna. Every time I do a client meeting, I do this 2-minute exercise of a gratitude grounding and invite them to put one hand on their heart and their belly and just give themselves the hug and feel the warmth and ground themselves. And so I just love that we have this photo of you here just doing that very same thing. It's so peaceful right from the get-go, and not to mention you're such a beauty.
Yeah.
Thank you. We don't actually see the slideshow, but are other people seeing it?
Yes.
There you go.
Let me make sure.
Yeah.
You see it? Okay.
Just when you speak, it pulls it off for you, but it should be showing up on your screen there, and others will see that too. So a little bit about Jenna and a little bit about Sascha, and then I want to tell you a little bit about the story. I'll give you just a few teasers from my perspective because I was delighted to have to be on the scene when the love was going down, or I should say going up.
Yes. Going in.
Yes. And then we'll get a little color from their perspective of the story, which will be just delightful. I haven't heard the two of you talk about this together. And we just love on the show as a way of getting to know couples, hearing a bit about how they've come together and, you know, anything about their philosophy of relationship. And I know the two of you are launching this pleasurable lifestyle, this pleasurable living project, and we're really looking forward to hearing more about that. And Jenna, you've been a pleasure expert for a long time. I loved your book on pleasurable weight loss. Such a revolutionary idea that you don't have to suffer to lose weight, but you can actually lose weight by bringing and gifting yourself more pleasure. You say here on this bullet here, the unshakable body confidence, which is so great because it kind of makes you want to shake, you know. Like me, and I still weeble wobble, but they don't fall down, right?
That's the whole paradigm.
Yes. So do take a look for that book, Pleasurable Weight Loss, The Secrets of Feeling Great, Losing Weight, and Loving Your Life Today. It's not just about losing weight. It really is a lifestyle and a way of thinking that Jenna's going to share a bit more about with us today, because it's also evolving as she's now met her beloved, and I'm looking forward to hearing what the next chapter is there. And there's been many chapters. As you can see here, she's been featured in Elle, Glamour, Prevention, Mind Body, Huffington Post, all over the place. The woman gets around and is generous with sharing this message that so many of us are challenged by, whether it be body image or dieting or suffering there, or suffering regarding relationship, especially suffering regarding not having enough pleasure, becoming like roommates, having a relationship that's more like brother and sister or housemates than it is of lovers. And if you've seen the show before, you know we talk about playful, peaceful, and passionate, and the importance of having the trifecta of all three. So I love that you two are representing passion tonight.
Yeah. Oh, beautiful.
You can find out more. more about Jenna at jennalaflamme.com, and Sascha, and I love this photo of you here. It's like you is like a wizard, you know. Jenna is grounding her body there, and then you have this cloak like you're coming out of the trees, you know, this wizard bringing his wisdom to us. And the variety of amazing work that you've done, you know, whether it be sound healing or shamanic trance or plant medicine, and even the transgenerational healing, which I've been fascinated about, even how science is starting to document that we carry trauma from previous generations that then we don't even know how it's showing up in our own lives now. So it's fascinating, and I look forward to hearing how you apply that to relationship. Right?
Yes, yeah, and lots of tools to do great work together, and that's really the combination of our two paths that created pleasurable living. So we're going to talk more about this.
Synergy in the best way possible. I love it. Sexy synergy, and sexy synergy not just for you, but in a way that ripples out for other couples in the world as well. We need more love in the world. We need more pleasure.
Oh yes.
Things are difficult enough. So Raj, will you take us now to the final slide of these bios, and then I want to turn it over to them to hear more about their luscious, juicy story of coming together and how this pleasurable living project is emerging. They met at Burning Man. If you've ever heard of the Festival of Burning Man, it's a wildly wonderful experience. I myself have been 13 of the last 15 years. I think Raj has been 8 of the last 10 years. And it's a transformational field. It certainly is a crazy party, but it's way more than that. And it's a wonderful, wonderful place to meet your beloved. Self-expression is the culture. And so you're meeting each other with the masks off. You might even have masks on, but it would be for fun and costume. But with those figurative masks, you know, those first date, second date, third date masks, even sometimes years into a relationship, where you have this facade on and you're trying to be something, and at Burning Man it's not like that. That doesn't fly. So you're seeing each other almost soul to soul. So it's just a beautiful, beautiful place to be meeting. Anniversary every year is when you come to Burning Man. It's so fantastic.
Yes, it will be.
Now, Jenna has been quite successful in love. She's had a successful, wonderful marriage that actually they are now great friends. And at her most recent wedding, her ex-husband, you know, was a part of the festivities and part of the toasts. And even his parents are still very much a part of their lives. I think we're also part of the ceremony. So maybe you can share a bit about that. But I really appreciate how you've redefined the ending of the transition of that marriage and relationship, and really embrace that new relationship that the three of you have together. It's really beautiful.
Thank you. Getting our
position
set up here.
So I wanted to say that the story at Burning Man that I was so tickled to share with you is that Jenna, while she was successful in relationship, the last, I don't know, Jenna, it'd been a couple of years since you had a true relationship that you were really feeling fulfilled and loved and satisfied and happy. And and then you were at Burning Man and you called in love. Maybe what was the intention that you had created?
Yeah, so I had met Sascha before at the Burning Man of Denmark. It's called Borderland. And we had a fabulous meeting and left as friends, really, really good friends, just with a gorgeous connection. And then time went by and I really, here he comes back. You have power again.
Sorry for that, guys.
Time went by, we stayed friends, we connected through Skype. And it was just a beautiful, unconditional brother sisterhood in a way. I mean, we were very attracted to each other. And because he was living in Switzerland and I was living in New York, it was really the heart connection that was the most prominent in the creative connection.
Yeah.
So then in this time, I've been divorced. I really want to meet my partner, meet my soulmate, meet my husband, meet the father of my children. And this was my daily prayer. And our mutual friend Annie said, "Look, Jenna, you know, you're so wild, and you're a lot of woman, and I think you're only going to meet your partner at Burning Man because that's where the larger than life people are. So you probably really high chance of meeting your guy at Burning Man. So she's like, okay, so let's bring that prayer. So I had Annie Lala and my friend Layla, and it was this whole thing. Okay, Burning Man, I'm going to meet your husband. So I invite him to Burning Man with me. And I say that, and he says, finally he says yes. And I say to him, and I just want you to know, I'm going to meet my husband. Will you support me?
And I said, oh, yes, I will.
So meanwhile, I'm thinking,
now,
what
in
that
hindsight,
is.
did either of you have any inclination at that point, or was it, no, we're still friends, and yes, I fully support you?
That was we are fully friends, and I clearly support you, like really without a single thought of that would be me. But that's kind of the beautiful twists of life. Like you have the truth in front of your face, and you just don't see it till you step in.
So
well, I remember stepping into the RV and seeing. I'm sorry, Jenna. Go ahead.
But what I thought that would mean was, well, when I meet my guy, disappear, or like be nice to him. Don't be rude. Don't be jealous. Don't be like, get out of the way.
Go sleep on the roof of the RV.
If the RV's a knockin', the RV's a rockin', don't come a knockin'.
Exactly. And we turned out that we rocked it all week. And so then I actually forgotten that I told him that. But the middle of the week, I said to him, by the way, I had this intention. He's like, yeah, you told me and you asked for my support. I'm like, oh, and that was that moment we were just like,
uh-oh. Something is waking up
here. Well, I remember walking into the RV, and Jenna, it was towards the end of Burning Man, and your eyes were big, and it was like, it wasn't exasperated in a bad way, a little bit of like, and this guy, this is just so wonderful and amazing, and this guy is delightful too, and he just says he's going to whisk me off to Bali, practically a marriage proposal. And I remember asking you, and I said, and you're like, this other guy, he's in Switzerland, and it just wouldn't work, and there's all of this and all these reasons for it. And I don't remember what the words were, but the effect was, it's just him. He's the one. The circumstances don't matter. And I felt choice happening in that moment of like, I have options. I have really good options. And there's even circumstances that are telling me this might not be the best way to go, but your intuition and your gut absolutely chose that path forward in that relationship.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
How many months after was that you got married?
6?
Yeah, 6 months.
Yeah. 5?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So this is slightly off topic for the show topic tonight, but is there any sort of wisdom you can give the audience around your partner and like being open to what isn't right there in front of you obvious?
Yeah, I guess like for me, it's been like really the surrendering into what life offers, like literally like from the very start of actually choosing to come to Burning Man and embrace this journey with Jenna. I really had to like surrender of all of my preconcepts and like really like jump down the cliff, like say like, okay, I go full into the fire and embrace that. And that's really from those like breakthroughs into my own limits or things that I was thinking like an hour ago or a day ago or a week ago, like I'm never going to do that. Like really choosing to embrace it and do it. That's what brought me in the arms of my beloved, of Jenna, really. That's really like every time that that my consciousness was kind of telling me like, whoa, hold on, or was kind of like breaking, it was kind of just saying like, hey, but look how much beauty, look how much gifts are in front of you, like go for it.
Amazing.
Saying yes to life and to Jenna.
Saying yes, saying fully yes, and like even without knowing the end result, because we never know. And actually, I never have like absolutely full control of what the future is. It's impossible. Like still feeling that, having that gut feeling of this is like a full on yes, because this is my destiny. Our destiny.
Awesome.
That's why we
Destiny.
call our RV Destiny.
Yeah.
Oh, beautiful, beautiful. Well, love was born in destiny, and it's being called forth by
Exactly.
destiny.
Yeah,
Yes.
no, dust, like dust for Burning Man.
Oh, destiny.
I love it even better. I love it. I love it. Hey,
Burning Man's a
Raj,
very
why
dusty-
don't you? Very dusty indeed. Raj, why don't you take everyone through, especially those that haven't been to the show before, on how we organize the flow of the content?
Great. Okay, so let me know when you can see the slide deck. Are we up again?
Yes.
Yep.
Yeah, we can see it.
So one of the things that Gabby and I really strive to do and really take to heart is providing applicable tips and tools to handle what people told us was the thing that they wanted most, related to how do we actually deal with and navigate the friction, the arguments that come up in relationship, and then how do we, in a way that brings us closer, and then also how do we maintain a hot, sexy, juicy sex life ongoingly in our relationship, and have very applicable tips that apply in both of those areas. And you'll notice in all of our content, our blogs, our videos, even our TV show, that we segment our content into how to keep the fights clean and how to keep the sex dirty. And furthermore, we segment the content into the different time frames that either arguments or friction or sex is occurring. Because what you do before an argument or before you're making love is much different than what you do during or after or as it starts. So you'll see all of our content organized in this way. You see the little highlight on before or as it starts, during, etc. So for example, today our show, Keeping the Sex Dirty, before is our topic. And it really helps you hone in on the tip that you need in the moment, instead of like fumbling through all this theory and, general advice. And you can find these applicable tips that just totally accelerate what it is that you're wanting in the moment. Gabby, you want to add to what I said?
Yeah, just go ahead and go to the next slide. I just want to make sure we leave plenty of time we have one of our own tips, and we've got some juicy content also from Jenna and Sascha. So just on the note of tonight's topic, which is the sex dirty before. So this is like front loading for success. Seduction is one thing, and really great to learn some tips, and we might even hear some seduction as it starts tips tonight. But really, it's the habits of the day-to-day, the relationship, the dynamic that you're cultivating. Like, what's the culture of your sexual energy between you and your beloved? Is it like non-existent, and then you're very functional during the day? Maybe you have kids, or maybe you run a business together, and life gets pretty functional pretty quickly. And then when you jump into bed at night, you're just exhausted and you're on your screens. Cultivate a relationship so that those on-ramps are pretty easy, and that you feel hot and attracted for each other all the time, or at least really darn regularly, so that it's much easier to build that intimacy to that lovely crescendo of intimacy and connection that we all really are desiring. Now, just want to point out this other image that's on the right here is, if you do join us live on the Hangout in about 10 minutes or so, we'll have it go live. If you'd like to ask a question, you can put it in the comments, or you can actually let us know, and we'll unmute you and you can ask the question live. And we'll go ahead and send you that cheat sheet, which has 16 of our top tips, 8 for keeping the fights clean and 8 for keeping the sex dirty. And on the note,
the way that you jump into the Hangout is when we let you know, probably about 10 or 15 minutes, just refresh your browser and click on that Join the Hangout button, and that will put you in the Hangout with us.
Great. So then if you go to the next slide, if you would, Raj. So the past tips, if this category of keeping the sex dirty before and really developing and nourishing a culture, that front loading that we're talking about here, if that's a topic that's really up for you right now, congratulations, you're being proactive. I love that approach. And I just want to point out some other resources you can go and take a look at. Again, you can see the logo. In this case, it's the heart with the devil horns, because we're talking about how to keep the sex dirty. And it's highlighted in the before section. So if you go to the website relationshipfunandgames.com and just go to the blog section, you can type in any of these titles. You can even type in sex dirty before, and you'll get the resources, whether it's a quick tip video clip. You can see some of them listed here, but we encourage you to go and explore what else is available. And those are all free to you. Tonight's tip is initiate inertia. And, you know, there's so many great tips. And in fact, I got to talk to Jenna and Sascha about some of their ideas tonight. And there's some really great specifics that I'm looking forward to. But this tip is more of a top level tip. I don't know if you've noticed this in your own relationship, but this has happened in our relationship and specifically in our sex life. And I talk to lots and lots of couples and hear this all the time, that when you don't have sex for a while, something less important. And then something may happen, the stars align, you go out for a nice evening, you have a great time, and you have sex, and it's awesome. You're like, oh my gosh, I forgot how great this is. Why haven't we been doing this more often? And you start having sex more often again until life gets busy and you have guests or the kids get sick or whatever it is. And you stop having sex again, or you stop relating to each other as your sexy, passionate lover. And so this idea of initiate inertia is really all about just taking action, doing something, anything. Go to the next slide, if you would. We've had some friends before. We were interviewed a few seasons ago, and they called this 24-hour foreplay, you know, that it's happening all the time. We also had another friend who let us know, you know, just like she's a fitness and nutrition expert, and she said your muscles are always either gaining muscle or losing muscle. It's never, ever neutral. And intimacy is the same thing. You're either building intimacy or you're losing intimacy. And so this whole section is on really developing that intimacy beforehand so that it's much easier to create that on-ramp. So this is about the 24-hour foreplay, because the reality is it's your habits, your relationship habits is going to determine your relationship happiness. How you relate to each other all day long is going to create that relationship environment, or as I said before, culture. Want to add before I keep going through this? I know we're in a different, I can't squeeze your leg when it's your turn to jump in, or you squeeze mine when you want to jump in.
Yeah, well, one of the things I just want to say about initiate inertia is it happens to the best of us. You know, you may have had a rockin' sex life for a little while, and you know, things just life starts lifing, as they say, and sometimes we can lose our momentum, lose our inertia with regards to having a robust sex life. And you know, and it's interesting because Gabby and I are going through a little phase of that right now, and we're closer than ever and more intimate than ever, but just like the actual act of like carving out time to make love, it's just been really challenging. We just had my 50th birthday party. It's like we went to Boulder to be on a launch of a relationship podcast, and like we're here and there and everywhere. We don't even have kids. And by the time we make it to the bedroom, we like fall asleep in each other's, you know, arms. And so I just wanted to point out that there's nothing wrong. It's just something to notice. And then what we really want to empower you with is tools to actually get things moving again. So
yeah, and Raj, I appreciate that you bring that up. I was thinking of that same thing there, you know, you know, I just realized in you saying it that there was a bit of a rubber band effect, because for the 6 weeks so leading up until these last few weeks of more of a dry spell, we were having sex like regularly, like 6 weeks in a row, as often as we had declared would feel really satisfying for us. So it's interesting that it was like 6 weeks of like rocking and rolling, and totally. You know, it's that rubber band. So yeah, when you're having a lot of sex, you're loving it and remembering how great it is. And I'm looking forward to hearing what Jenna and Sascha have to say about this, because, you know, pleasure is Jenna's thing. And Raj and I, we've acknowledged many times before that we are best when you look at that trifecta, you know, the P3 relationship, playful, peaceful, and passionate. Raj and I are best at being playful. we're second best at being peaceful, and we're third best at being passionate. So we're always really looking at how we can grow in all those areas, but specifically passion. Share a few more tidbits on this tip, and then we'll get to the action option, because we always like to give you an invitation to take some action. And then we want to turn it over to Sascha and Jenna and hear about their juicy tips that they have for keeping things spicy and connected. Raj, feel free to jump in here at any time, okay?
Sure.
Yeah, those of you out there know that we name our arguments. One of the regular challenges that Raj and I have is that I can be quite talkative, and we call it I can't get a word in edgewise. So we're practicing with me continuing to check in and make sure he's speaking whenever he feels inspired to.
Yeah, and one thing I just want to say
babe.
about that is less and less you have to do that, which is great, because I don't have as much of an issue sort of did before, and it's one of the beautiful things that stemmed from Gabby in my relationship. So if you've been watching the show over time, more and more Gabby doesn't actually have to solicit input from me, and I do really appreciate you, Gabby, for asking, and I just wanted to point that out, like we grow together.
Transformation is possible. We have proof.
Totally. Yes.
Awesome. Well, just on this first point here, on this slide here, tend to your garden or weeds will grow. And maybe you have had to read in high school or something the essay, As a Man Thinketh, which is all about tending to your mind, the garden that's in your mind. What are you thinking about? Are you just going to let your thoughts run wild and have all these weeds grow? Or are you going to be intentional about where you want to keep your thoughts, where you want to keep your attention? So you want to apply that to your relationship as well. Are you just going to let the default of, well, we don't feel like having sex today, or, oh, we've been busy, or, oh, the kids have been sick, or whatever it may be? Or are you going to say, wow, we've been really busy. Let's get intentional. Let's actually schedule a date. Let's get a sitter, or whatever needs to happen to make sure that you have that time intimacy. Because really, that's what's going to make the difference, is if you're really going to put that effort out there to make that time to have it happen. So wherever you are in your own relationship right now, just check in, is there any element of like losing sight of how important and hot sex life is for you? And it's not just to your relationship, but to your general vitality, your confidence and joy. I bet Jenna can tell us and will tell us all sorts of things. And maybe Jenna, do you want to jump in here and say anything about pleasure and the importance of pleasure and on your life, on all areas of your life?
Sure. So more and more science is showing us that the most toxic thing is the stress response. The body's natural sense that there's a danger, there's an enemy we need to fight against, we're not safe. And in nature, that's part of the process, but it's usually a very short burst of stress, and then back to eating grass and we're happy again. So our culture has gone way the other way, where we're in stress so much of the time and in relaxation so little. So why pleasure is so important is that we need to regain that balance, and anything that gives you true pleasure gives you relaxation, gives you peace. So it's something that we all instinctively know. When we're honest with ourselves, we know, does that give me pleasure or not? No one can tell you for you, but when you're present with your senses and a quiet mind, you know if it's enjoyable or not. And it basically, in our evolution, everything that was pleasurable was healthy. Later, we came to have processed sugar and junk food, and we need to have more awareness. But once upon a time, anything pleasurable was good for you, and we knew to move towards that pleasure, to evolve towards the pleasure and away from the stress and the danger. So basically, it's a guiding principle of life that keeps us healthy.
I love that.
Guiding principles of life.
Yeah, that's awesome. Because we so associate pleasure.
I'm writing that one down. Pleasure. May we put that in the comments? Pleasure as a guiding principle of life.
And then I've really been studying that and living that, and then meeting Sascha, and he's like, oh yeah, of course. So we see really eye to eye on that. And you can call it pleasure, happiness, joy, they become synonymous at some point. really
Yes.
feeling good. It's just that claim,
Mm-hmm.
feel good versus feel bad. If it feels good, it's good for you. We've been trained to think, oh, if it feels good, feel guilty about it. You shouldn't have too much. Do you really deserve it? And so here we're reclaiming, no, if it feels good, truly good, sustainably good, it is good for you, and the more the better.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and on that note, the more the better. That's the whole point of this topic with initiate inertia is, it's a law in physics and it's a law in relationship and sex. Things in motion tend to stay in motion. Things at rest tend to stay at rest. So when you're looking at in your relationship and what should I do, and should we do this Tantra workshop, and should we watch this video, and should we do this series, and, should I get some lingerie, and like, explore, it doesn't, I know Jenna and Sascha's content, they're going to have some really great practical tips. So take those as some ideas, but really explore for yourself, because, this is a game worth playing. It's not about doing it perfect. It's not about the right path. It's not about one path. It's about an exploration. We interviewed a woman, Zipporah Kingsbury, who's an expert in intimacy. And she said, no matter in your sex life, I promise you, you're just scratching the surface. And for me, it was like fireworks went off. I was like, oh, really? At age 45, and as great as sex is, I'm just scratching the surface. Oh my God, what else is possible?
Yeah.
So to bring that attitude of this is a game worth playing, like just hold that it's true that sex can just keep getting better and better and better. And when it's not, don't beat yourself or make your partner wrong or get frustrated. This is about imperfect, inspired action. Taking action and learning from it, and knowing that there are going to be embarrassing moments. There will be sounds and smells and laughter and getting scared and crying fits. And when you're really exploring sex, who knows where it can go? But the point is to be in motion, to do something, anything. And as Raj and I like to say, wonderful is worth it. So just start, initiate. Anything else? Any of you want to add to that? That's it for me on initiate inertia.
Yeah, I wanna just add like my perspective on really the pleasure related to a guidance system, because like for me, meeting Jenna with all her background in this field, I really connected to it as actually like my original language is French, so I never put that word pleasure in English to really my guidance system of what is good, what feels good is actually where I feel happy. Where my guidance system was more, I was more putting the word happy on it, like feeling this state of stable and calm and like fulfilled. And when I started to understand how much I was a pleasurable being already, and really like understanding how much of every little details that all the attention that I'm putting, like for example, into making my food and the food for Jenna and I, is exactly about this, is exactly about uplifting the level of pleasure and the quality of connection with everything. So the pleasure goes to the happiness, which is the compass for more connection. And the more you add pleasure, the more you gain connection with yourself and with the other in the relationship.
Well, I'm getting pleasure and happiness from watching Jenna listen to you. It's like she's listening with her eyes, soaking in what you're saying. It's really delightful. I'm listening to you and looking at her take it in. But Sascha, you just said this. You said your pleasure guidance system, and I wrote that down. And I wrote, instead of using your GPS, use your PGS.
Your
pleasure guidance system.
Nice.
That's perfect. That's beautiful. Super well said. Yeah.
So I'm going to make up a little sign reminder for myself to use my pleasure guidance system.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I just wanted to add another element there. You may have said this, Sascha, but that we get pleasure out of pleasuring our partner. Sometimes we can, especially when maybe our sex life isn't working as well as we'd like it to, we can consider pleasuring our partner a burden. And if you actually can get in resonance with your partner's pleasure, like I'm actually getting pleasure by pleasuring you.
Yeah.
It amplifies. Yeah.
Absolutely. Like
So
a good
let's go
example
ahead
of that.
Oh, go
Sorry.
ahead.
Yeah, I would just want to add one experience that I did yesterday, where I was in a group of people where one of the people who was talking about the aphrodisiac kitchen. So he was basically saying that making food for someone is one of the most easy and fruitful way of saying I love you to anyone. So really, like,
Oh, I
using
love
that
it.
as a purpose of seduction, as a purpose of saying I love you without any words, like cooking for someone, pleasuring someone with food. Just one example, one tip for the before.
That's
I
great.
love that.
Okay.
You know, Raj and I have started subscribing to one of those grocery services that come, you know, everything you need. And I used to normally cook dinner and he would do the dishes. But now we end up cooking together, or if we have someone else come over because our meals are for 2 people, we'll cook 2 of them and we'll have like a double date, almost like our own master chef. You know, like one couple makes one dish and we make the other dish and we have this lovely dinner. And it's become, instead of going out for dinner for date night, we've been staying in for dinner for a date night. So I love that.
Yeah, put on some music, some
beautiful
candles, have a little wine. And I just wanted to let the audience know that the Join the Hangout link is live. So you may need to refresh your browser window and then click on that Join the Hangout button and you can jump in here live with us.
Thank you, husband tech hero. Raj, will you, speaking of being tech hero, will you just show the screen another moment? I just want to wrap up this tip with the action option and give people a specific map of something that you can do to personalize this and have this not just be an aha moment, but actually something that makes a difference in your relationship. And so your action option, should you choose to accept it, ready, Raj? Dun, 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 dun. Da-da-da. Da-da-da. A little Mission Impossible. It's not impossible, but you can bring some play to it. It is an option, but we do invite you to, you know, as we said before, it's a game worth playing. So ask yourself, you know, what's at rest relationship that you want to put in motion. If we look at the law of inertia, it's at rest and you want to get it in motion. You might look for something specific. It might be, you know, a particular dynamic, a occurrence of how often you're having sex, but whatever it is that's not in existence, that's at rest, what would you like to put in motion? And I encourage you to brainstorm as many ideas as possible, but at least 3. Just write down 3 ideas on how to get started, and then you can put that in action. How do you get started to put something into action? And then you want to write down 3 potential pitfalls that might get in the way. And then look at that and have 3 ideas on how you can move past those pitfalls. How are you going to keep what you want in motion even over time? So when you look at those different 9 ideas, a minimum of 9 ideas that you have there, pick one idea that you can take some action on and put in place in the next hour, one in the next 24 hours, and one in the next week. So you can even do this as we're moving along here tonight. You're going to get some ideas from Jenna and from Sascha, so you can write these down, even schedule them into your calendar while we're on this on the show, while you're watching this, so that you don't forget and miss it when we're done. So on that note, schedule your reminders. Put it on your screensaver on your computer. Put it on your phone, so when you turn on your phone, it's what you see. And then make sure that you actually take those actions, right? Stack the cards in your favor, put the prompts visible, but make sure you take those actions and go ahead. If you're not being successful at taking those actions, break them down into baby steps, into smaller steps, but just keep playing full out. Experiment. You'll fail and get up. Just remember when we were little kids learning to walk and we'd fall down, we'd stand up, we'd fall down. We wouldn't fall down and go, oh, guess walking's just not for me. We're just not very good at walking. No, we kept at it. We want to do the same thing here. So play full out. So that's it for initiate.
Yeah, one of the things I just want to say about the pitfalls is that sometimes the best sex that Gabby and I've had happens when I feel like I've been like this master at navigating pitfalls that actually happen while we're having sex. You probably all can relate to that, right? Like, I don't know, some sex move is like not quite right and like it actually hurts, or something's clumsily done.
into the building, you know, or whatever it is, you get distracted.
Yeah, totally. And if you just can develop the skill to not be derailed by the pitfalls, I almost think of it as like navigating landmines. I missed that one. And like it leads to actually like the best sex ever sometimes. I'm curious, Jenna and Sascha, if you have something to say about that before we jump into your tips.
Let's save it for our tips. We've got a story.
Okay, great.
Great. So Raj, go ahead and pull up this next screen, and you know, Jenna, feel free to jump around, and Sascha, wherever you like on these ideas here. But we did put them on this slide for you because we know that a lot of us out there, including myself, are quite visual. That applies both to keeping it sexy as well, but also to learning content and this information here. And we, of course, you'll have the slide deck. We'll make that available as well. So Sascha, Jenna, thanks for sharing these ideas. I'd love talking with you about them earlier. I can't wait to hear the juicy details now.
Thank you.
Thank you. Yeah, we're going to share all this with pleasure. A lot of pleasure.
Well, I'll tell you one story. After he asked me to marry him, we were talking about really having this spirit of freedom. That marriage does not mean ball and chains. Marriage does not mean, okay, now I control you, you're my slave. But this real openness to being, you know, being sovereign beings who choose to journey together. And I said to him, well, one of my friends, a couple I know, they have an agreement to have sex every day. It's a tantric practice. And he's like, great, let's take that one. So that was one of our first agreements.
First agreement.
First agreement.
I love it. Anchor with it. And that's such a great first agreement. Raj, maybe we should try that for a while, just every day, like regardless.
Yes.
By the way, we always have the best sex after we have Sex Dirty episodes. It's like so great. Oh my gosh, the Sex After Alex Almond interview, episode 1.4. Whew, that was a really good interview.
So that's to say we've had quite a bit of practice in what you're talking about here. And you know, your setup here, keep the fights clean and the sex dirty. It's funny, and it does you know, it's got this mirroring effect to it. But really, as I see it, the way to keep the sex dirty is to really eliminate this concept of dirty from sex and to return it to the baseline innocence of erotic and the baseline attitude of erotic innocence. So behind all the pleasurable weight loss, the pleasurable living, pleasurable movement is this secret sauce of erotic innocence. And what it is your body's instinctive,
natural
impulse towards the sensual, towards pleasure, towards the erotic, that is innocent by nature of it coming to be before the mind's judgments of guilt, of shame, of limitation, of judgment. So before there was a mind to say, no, you don't deserve it, that's not good, you can't have it, it's against your religion, all this stuff up here, there was the body stemming back from the beginning of time that knew, go towards pleasure, that's life-giving, that's a promise of goodness, and to avoid danger. So here what we're doing is stripping away the shame, the guilt, and saying it doesn't have a place here. Sascha says one thing, one of his favorite words in English is never mind. Because of what I mean, like never mind. Keep your mind out of it. I'd say in the sex hot, never mind.
Oh, I love that. Never mind. I got it.
Go with your own nature. Yeah. Yeah, for me, it's really
beautiful.
like.
Jenna, I so appreciate you saying that piece about, you know, with the fights clean and the sex dirty, because while it is a cheeky, you know, way, and what someone told us the day we got married, we do really make it clear to people, you know, we don't want to have a shame and guilt in relationship. It's the good kind of naughty.
Yeah,
not the bad kind of naughty. It is the good devil horns, right? All good here.
Absolutely.
But it is important because there's so much shame guilt, whether you're a man or woman. Men have all of these hormones, and they're told that their sexual impulses, make them perverted or something wrong with them. And, women are either sluts or prudes. And there's not a whole lot of great language for empowered sexuality. So it's no wonder everybody shame.
Definitely.
Yeah, very true. Yeah, it's really like for me, like to resonate with the sex dirty. I see like this as raw, and for me, the raw has this connection to the primal. Like we are basically sexual beings. We're born out of sexuality, and the whole nature is about sexuality. Everything, every beautiful feather, every beautiful flower in the field is beautiful for the purpose of attracting a mate, or the right bee, or the right other bird to have sex together, to create. That's the whole process of nature. So that's our very inbuilt program that we want to reconnect to, and to really feel unbounded about all this. We need to leave our conditioning, like to leave our minds, which are the condition that we create, and get more into our like very free flow of sexual energies.
This is why practices that help distinguish the story in your mind from the feelings in your body are really useful. Because when you get into bed and be ruined by blah, 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 all this thinking and, oh my God, the problems and lists and talking, it just can be too much.
Yeah.
So to be able to consciously turn down the mind and say, this is a gift for our bodies. Our bodies do so much for us all day long. They're devoted. They help us sit at the laptop and make our businesses. They help us. Everything physical, practical that we do, the body is just giving.
At service.
And this now, your sexuality is a chance to say, hey, body, thank you. You've been so good to me. I want to give to you. I want to give to you and receive from you and with you and honor you. And that's what.
I love that. Hey, body, thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah. Let's unleash and be wild and be free.
And
these frame shifts are so powerful. Sorry, go ahead, Jenna.
We see in children erotic innocence. Our culture doesn't know what to do with it. Our culture is so sex negative. I mean, you mentioned that, but just to really have it land, when we want to have great sex, we're fighting, or we're facing a world that's really poisoning us to think there's something wrong with it, and some is okay and some is not okay. And when we look at children, they love pleasure, they love touching themselves. We're not talking about perverted things with children. We're talking about children being children and loving their bodies.
Yeah, discovering.
So few of us were raised with that. I was definitely raised with don't touch yourself. And it took me until my mid-20s to know how to have an orgasm with myself. Sascha had a much more liberal upbringing than that.
A little bit more, yeah.
Yeah, I just, one of the things I just wanted to presence from what you said, Jenna, was the sense of relief, or there's some calming of my whole system, just hearing both of you speak about the framing around sex and sexuality, that taking care of our body, rewarding our body, that like the innocence of sex, all of this, it's really comforting. Thank you for sharing that.
Thank you, you're welcome.
This idea of the rewarding our body, like, wow, that's huge. I'm so loving that, rewarding our body. I'm like, honey, we can use that as a euphemism. You're like, Raj, you want to go reward our body?
I can't wait to reward my body with you.
That's a great idea. That's
true, because if our minds were in charge, they might say, no, we don't have time for this, we're too busy, let's read a book, let's get up here and more ideas. And instead it's, okay, enough is enough. Now we need to give to the animals.
And that's actually leading to our next point here, in terms of lifestyle of pleasure and before having sex, like before the seduction even, is really for me, what we offer to each other. Like I was talking about the food, but the rewarding of each other's body, each other's being, through giving massages, giving just attention and holding space for each other. which is a beautiful practice for couples to do together, like having these practices of just listening to each other, or just like simply being in the same room without having any other attention than just being together, like reading a book together or just listening to music together. And now one that we just did today is learning to dance together. I'm just starting. She's an expert. And I'm doing my best to catch up, but it's such a powerful way of connecting into the dance, into the rhythm, into the music. So that's one of the tips of like really creating more and more bonding, connection and intimacy, even before there is the deeper seduction and sexuality involved.
I love what you said about the attention and holding space, because like John Gottman, the marriage researcher, talks about, one of the top things you can do in your relationship is to be interested in the things that they're interested in. Not that you're going to go out and take on all of their hobbies, but you're asking them about it and curious about it. Because what's important to us, if someone shows that it's important to them, it has us feel loved and seen and more integrated.
Yeah, yeah.
So could you just say a little bit more about that, Sascha? Is it that a lifestyle of pleasure sort of invites sexual pleasure?
Yeah.
Yeah, I can. Yeah. So how I'm getting your question is like if it's inviting more pleasure into everything.
Yeah, I just wanted to like really present
food with sex, right?
Sorry?
That I just wanted to make sure that I got what you're saying here, that a lifestyle of pleasure sort of opens you up for pleasure, which opens you up to sexual pleasure and things like that. Like you're opening the pleasure channel.
Exactly. Yeah.
Okay.
It's like the more you tap into this source, the more you get. It's like a fountain, and it creates more and more abundance, and the more you actually put this type of attention into everything that you're doing. And now I can really relate to everything, like even going in the shower together instead of alone, like really like having that type of willingness to get so intimate that you can look at your partner brushing her teeth. Like I'm going a bit extreme, but that's something sometimes goes to that extreme.
It's not.
For me, the holding space is very important. So that's something that I discovered through tantric practices, not just with my spouse, with my love partner, but with any person, any being, to just have this moments where you simply holding space without not even talking. So it's holding space is mostly about listening and letting a container of openness for the other one to just share and open her or his heart, fully share the fears, the issues, the contradictions, the desires, everything, just like putting all this on the blank canvas, and for the other one to just receive that without, and that's the exercise, without being judgmental or willing to respond to it even. And that's amazing, because that creates a container, a safe container between each other, and that gives so much perspective and depth to the intimacy that you can create together. That's a really powerful exercise to do for a couple or for any kind of relation, actually.
And Sascha, you gave us a list of some really great options here, massage and dancing together. This one, we're talking more in depth about holding space and listening, cooking, showering, listening to music. Jenna, what are some of your favorites from your perspective?
So when I was single, I did a lot of studying of evolutionary psychology. And evolutionary psychology describes how we've evolved as a species from animals through cave people into the modern humans that we are. And there was a really renowned PhD psychologist, evolutionary psychologist, and she was being interviewed about dating. And they said to her, okay, what is the number one thing to tell men who want to have success with women. She's like, okay, guys, here's the number one above all things of evolutionary psychology to get lucky with women is feed the female. And he's like, oh, that's a metaphor, right? She's like, no, literal. It's also a metaphor, literal. Feed the female. That means take her to dinner. That means cook her something. That means take her on a picnic. That means give her a snack. That means feed her. And
Nice.
it's so shocking because we think in like it's the woman's role to be the provider of the food.
Mm-hmm.
And really that's a patriarchal construct where the woman has been relegated to the home and the kitchen and disempowered from the full range of her being and just turned into a little housewife. In the bigger picture, women are so much more than that, and men are so much more than just the guy that goes to the office and sits on the couch and watches football and doesn't know how to dance or play music or sing or cook or be in his senses. So when I learned that, I was like, okay, I'm going to stay open to this feed the female concept. And then Sascha came along and he feeds me all the time.
Well, and the opposite is you look at getting hangry, right? When people haven't eaten, and I've actually said to Raj before, I haven't eaten in 6 hours. Are you sure you want to talk about this right now? You know?
Yeah. Yeah.
Exactly.
It has a very strong impact on our emotions, that's for sure.
Certainly, Raj and I have figured out that our most common source of arguments is either a technology glitch, like we don't have internet, or it's slow, or the computer crashed, or it's something to do with food. We're hungry or cranky. Those are our usual biggest hurdles. 5 minutes left, and I really want to hear about emotional engagement.
Wow.
Feel free if you have any other lifestyle of pleasures to slip in there, but I want to make sure we get some time for that too.
Okay. On the lifestyle and pleasure, one of them is to create a sacred space in the house. And that's our offering at the end is we've made some pleasure practices. One of them is how to create a sacred space. And, you know, a room, a space has a certain vibe, and a certain vibe you do not want to make love. Another vibe you just can't wait to rip your clothes off. So that really matters. And then flirting. And that expression of the vulnerability of I want you. Sometimes it's so we're scared to say I want you in case the other person's like, oh, no, not into it. I'm too busy, or if they don't respond.
Mm-hmm.
So just having that complete vulnerability to be willing to express your desire goes a long way for creating the mood.
Yeah. And if you get a no, keep saying it. I want you. And at some point, there's going to be news.
I'm hearing that song, of course. I want you so bad.
Yeah.
It's driving me mad. You can break into song even, right?
Yes.
Okay, so emotional engagement. So we have a fresh story, which is from
Yesterday.
From yesterday.
At 1:30 or something.
Well, it started before that. So Sascha was going out to an event, and I decided to stay home. And it was just completely no agreement on when he would be home. It's fine. You do your thing. I'll do my thing. My thing happened to be resting. And so he sends a message at 9:30. I'm going to be home soon. I'm leaving soon. And then I'm like, okay, fine. I'm looking forward to him coming back. Then 11:30, there's no sign of him. I call him like, hey, where are you? He's like, oh, I'm still here. It's great. Da, da, da. Yeah, I'll call you back in 5 minutes. I'm like, okay, because I was working on a project of ours. Then 45 minutes goes by. Haven't heard from him. I'm like, okay, fine. I'm turning off my phone. I'm like, okay, you didn't call me back. Don't worry. And I knew that we had a visitor, and he'd given his keys to the visitor. So he didn't have keys to get in.
Uh-oh.
But there is a hidden key in a lockbox with a code. I told him the code, but I thought he probably forgets the code. So I text him, here's the code for the lockbox so you can get in, honey, see you in bed. So I go to sleep, and I was feeling pretty precious about my sleep. Like I really wanted a good sleep. And so then ding dong, the bell rings in the middle of the night. I'm like, oh. So,
Very bad husband.
That's like 3 strikes, man.
Ringing the bell at 1:30 in the morning. I tried the Romeo way, which is throwing rocks on the window, but it didn't work.
But I knew he had this friend saying, and that she was probably awake. So I was like, she can answer the door. He can call her. And if it rings twice, I'll get out of bed. But I'm not getting out of bed for this. I'm asleep. So I can just stay in bed. Then I hear, she lets him in, and I hear them talking. So then I call him. And I have to rub it in and be like, you woke me up. I'm pretty grumpy. I'm like, you could have gotten the key. You're so inconsiderate. Waking up the whole house at 1 o'clock in the morning.
Super grumpy.
So then
to the max.
This is where the emotional engagement came in, because I could have just continued to be pissed. He could have gotten pissed because I was pissed at him. And then our lovemaking could just die, because it doesn't happen when you're pissed at each other. But instead of that going that way, Sascha did the ninja move.
Yeah. So I got some ninja trainings from my daughter.
From your daughter.
Yes. The kids are the best teachers, really.
That's good.
And the one that I learned the most from her is being non-reactive to the princessy, grumpy type of moves. So when my daughter is telling me, Daddy, why you didn't give me the purple spoon and the blue? I'm just like, oh my God, I'm very sorry. Here is the blue, here is the purple spoon. And I don't get mad for a response like that. So I had the same feeling with Jenna's grumpiness, and that completely kind of flow on my feathers like a duck. Like, the ducks when they fight, like they just wash up their feathers right after. That was the same response. I said sorry, and I had a super good laugh, like right after.
So he said sorry. I got the sorry. Usually we sleep naked, but I was cold when I went to sleep, so I had clothes on. So he got in the bed, and I'm like, I'm keeping my clothes on. I'm thinking to myself,
no,
Sealed.
skin contact for you.
Yeah, exactly.
So then in the middle of the night, he puts his hand up my shirt on my heart, and I'm like, oh, that feels really nice. Okay, well, I'm still punishing you. Finally, I'm like, okay, all right, get the clothes off. In the morning, I woke up, and we start cuddling, and I say, hey, you woke me up. I have to say it again. He's like, I know. He's like, it was so cute, and you're grumpy. You're just like my daughter who's saying she wants the other spoon. And then I just started laughing and seeing how funny it was. And then we're just cracking up, and then the next thing we're making up. So this is the emotional willingness.
Would have just been pissed and shut down and withdrawn, but the fact that I hear a couple of things. One, I love that I hear you got brought humor and levity to it. So significant, even when you get cranky and pissed. Yeah.
I mean, it's really like it's so simple things, but like I think one of the main crystal jewel of that kind of like little glitches. I mean, I was unresponsible to not have my keys and to arrive that late. All that, like there has been some miscommunication on the way. Like my phone, I didn't get the messages from her. Like those kinds are all little details, but the real emotional part of it is that I was not getting reactive to her grumpiness, and I managed to turn that into like actually a love story almost, like really to turn it into something that is not gonna create disconnection and discomfort and distance between each other, and on the other end, like create actually even more connection, because now I know why she got triggered with this. So I got to know even more about Jenna in that situation.
Yeah, I just want to add something in there. Yeah, just one sec. That it is truly a ninja skill to not get hooked by our partner's upset while at the same time taking responsibility for wherever we can be responsible for causing the upset.
Yeah.
And there's many tools as you can develop to not react to your partner's upset, because that's what has it spiral down. into an irrecoverable space.
Yeah.
And one of our good friends, Josephina, brought this to my attention like a couple months ago. And it is so powerful to not get like hooked. And so much so that I was starting to get some mastery over this. And Gabby said to me, I totally expected you to get hooked by that, and you just didn't. Remember, Gabby?
I actually I said you didn't take the bait.
Didn't take the bait.
Right?
She didn't know I was
Yeah,
doing
you're really not taking the bait.
You see,
and that's not to
There's
diminish
an
the
expression
upset, but
that Raj and I have created when one of us is being really cranky and whatnot, the other one, instead of saying, don't take your stuff out on me, whatever it may be, it's now we'll say, do you need some loving? And for whatever reason, when I'm being a bitch and Raj asks me if I need some loving, it makes me laugh hysterically for whatever reason. And it's just such a pattern interrupt when you're being a bitch with somebody and they turn around and like, oh, you need some love? And it just really can. I'm like, yes, I need lots and lots of loving, stat.
Yeah. And that's such a beautiful way of turning the whole situation over, like really.
Yeah.
Well,
Yeah.
we are just starting to run out of time, and I want to give people an opportunity to see where they can find out more about you. But is there any last bit on the content that you'd like to add in that we didn't get to cover? You want to make sure that we slip that bit of wisdom in there?
I think that it's let it go. I could have just stayed. You were late.
Oh, that's
We
great.
don't do that. We just like hook on and we just don't let go. Okay, you were late. That was yesterday. That was a moment.
Yeah.
Get over it. Move forward. Be in the now. That's, again, the mind spinning instead of being available for the erotic innocence of, well, now you're in my arms. So it's really about being in the present moment, about not holding on to the story of the victim. Poor me. You were bad. Poor me. And just understanding emotions come in a wave. They come, they go, and just keep surfing.
Keep
You
surfing,
said something before, like about rubbing their nose in it, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, that's why we often in communication, we ask couples, like, what's your intention beforehand? I'm like, are you venting? Are you rubbing their nose in it? Are you coming up with creative solutions? Like, what's the intention here? That's so good to know, because it is such a huge tendency to be like, you wronged me, look. So really, really excellent. And I can't wait to make a few little quoting boxes of some of your quotes today and put them on my refrigerator. We print these out. We'll send them out to those on our list. We'll send them to you as well. And we'll put them on social media in case you want to share them. But some big, big takeaways here, like, oh my gosh, the pleasure, like rewarding our body. Like that, our body's been so good to us all day long. I'm just, how I should say thank you. Like that is just
so much. Awesome. We take this so much for granted. Like we have those beautiful experiential vehicle that brought us all the way through life, and we don't really take care. Like it's like we have the most expensive, beautiful sport car, and it's like, hey. It's time for a rest. It's time for polish. It's time for a good warm bath.
Oh, that's great.
Yes.
Nice.
Sascha, we have beautiful Ferraris or whatever the car equivalent would be of phenomenal women. We're lucky men. We're lucky men.
Yes. Yes. Raj, will you go ahead and put the slide up so we can show people how they can find out more? And we're going to let you know about 3 things to find out more about. One about with Sascha and Jenna, and they have a special gift for us. And then for those of you who are new to our show, we have a special gift for you as well. And we're going to then wrap up by just letting you know what is the topic and who are our guest speakers for next week. So Sascha and Jenna, you want to share about your free gift and anything on the horizon that people should know about to find out more about your offerings?
So pleasurable living is a practice of mindsets and actions. So we've created a free gift for you, which is the 3 practices for pleasurable living, or 3. There's more than 3, but it's 3 really good ones. And you can get that by entering your name and email at this address here, jennaleflamme.com/pleasurable living. And we'll send that out to you.
Beautiful. Thank you so much. I love all the little gifts that people bring to the show. I make it a rule to gobble up everyone. And I look forward to this one. As I mentioned before, your book on pleasurable weight loss is about way more than weight loss. And I just love your narrative and the meme that you're spreading about pleasure and now also about love. It's delightful to see the two of you working together and speaking about relationship as well.
Yes, thank you very much.
Yeah. You know, Jenna and Sascha, I'm still getting to know you, but Jenna is such an amazing resource for all that is pleasurable, merging in this innocence and just really expanding that part of your life. So Gabby, let's tell our audience about some of our free gifts.
Yep, we have just two quick slices here. The relationship reset kit. And so this is our 4-part email mini course series with 4 of our top tips on relationships. And, you know, also you can check out our guidebook. If we'll go ahead and put that URL into the notes there to snap that up. And also just, you know, reach out, ask us any questions. You also will get notifications about the upcoming shows. And in just a moment, we'll tell you about next week. The replay for this show will be available for a week. So if you want to share that with others, please do. Friends don't let friends settle or suffer when it comes to love is what I often like to say. And then you may also want to check out our ebook, just a quick, easy way, low cost, you know, curl up and, you know, read a book. Laid out in such a way that you can find the tips that most resonate with you. You don't have to read it start to cover, although I recommend it, but you can really jump around for what's going on and is most current in your own relationship. And you can find that at that URL there, which we'll also put in the comments, so you can just click on it there, relationshipfunandgames.com for the ebook. Now, next week, we're also really excited to have Jess and Ryan. We met this couple just in November, and we have so fast fallen in love with them. They're actually moving into the property where we live as well in a few weeks. 50th birthday party, and they never left. They are such a delightful couple. I was talking to them on the phone today, and she came over to the computer standing over him, and he leaned up and gave her a little love bite underneath her chin on her neck. They're just so fun to be around. And their topic is how to keep the fights clean as it starts. So as an argument is just starting to brew, what can you do to unhook from getting emotionally hijacked? And, you know, really, as I put here in the quotes here, take that very thing that is pulling you apart and use it to bring you together. Sascha, you talked about this. So the thing, instead of just getting past the thing that's pulling you apart, turn it around and have it actually create more intimacy than when you started in the first place. Beautiful. And Raj, if you just close up with this slide once again on Sascha and Jenna's beautiful picture of this gorgeous outfit that looks like it's at Burning Man.
Yes, it is.
The two of you, really, love is so special. The world needs it so much. So thank you for, 1, being persistent enough to find each other, to 2, to move past the friends and the obstacles of living on different continents, and 3, when you found it, to now share it with the world, including us. I know Raj and I are going to have a lot more pleasure in our lives because of you two.
Thank you. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Gabby. Thank you, Raj. This has been...
It's been a pleasure, and looking forward to share more with you guys.
I know.
And thanks everyone in the audience for watching, or those watching on the replay for joining us as well. We know life is full, but as we say all the time, wonderful is worth it, and so are you. You deserve a playful, peaceful, passionate relationship, and we're here to make it easier and more fun and sexier than ever. So do reach out. Let us know how we can support you.
Lots of love to everybody. Have a fantastic evening, and keep that sex dirty before.
The sex dirty in a good way. The shame-free, guilt-free sex dirty.
Sex. Totally. Totally. Thank you, everybody.
Thanks, everybody. Have a great night.
Thank you.